At first, everything with Madison felt easy. We clicked in ways that made sense. No games, no drama. She had this laugh that made even the dullest days brighter. We'd cook dinner together, walk the dogs, binge stupid shows. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real, and that was enough. A year later, she moved in with me, said it just made sense. I didn't hesitate. I wanted her there, wanted us to feel complete. We made our space feel like home. 2 rooms, a couch, a life. Bills were split unevenly, but I didn't care. I earned more. I thought love meant sharing, not keeping score. For a while it worked. Quiet mornings, laughter, routines. Then small things began to shift, almost invisible at first. Madison started sighing when I mentioned Ethan. She'd roll her eyes if I said he was coming over. "He's always around," she said once, voice cold but calm. I told her he was family, someone who'd been there forever. She didn't answer, just looked away like I'd picked sides. It was strange, because Ethan never disrespected her. He always tried to include her, make her feel welcome. Still, she built this wall between them, brick by brick. One weekend, Ethan helped fix a leak under the sink. I remember Madison sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone. Didn't say thank you, didn't even glance his way. After he left, she asked, "Why can't you just call a plumber?" I laughed it off, said he saved me $300. She didn't smile, didn't even look up, just muttered, "It's weird." That night, something inside me shifted too. I started noticing how she'd tense up when his name came up. Like his existence was some kind of threat she couldn't stand. I tried to make peace, invited them to dinner together. It was awkward, forced laughter, polite smiles that meant nothing. Ethan joked once, "You sure she doesn't think I'm robbing the place?" Madison didn't laugh, just stared at her drink until he stopped talking. After that, he stopped coming around as much. I missed him, but I thought maybe space would help. Madison said she wanted more us time, just the 2 of us. I agreed, because I loved her and wanted to keep things good. But love isn't enough when someone's already checked out. She started criticizing small things, like how I folded laundry. If I forgot to take the trash out, she called me childish. If I asked about her day, she said I was too controlling. I told myself she was just stressed, maybe tired of routine. Still, the way she looked at me changed. No warmth, no softness, just this quiet irritation. It was like living with a stranger, wearing her face. The laughter faded first, then the small touches. She started sleeping earlier, locking the bedroom door. Her phone was always in her hand, screen turned away. I could feel her slipping, inch by inch, but I said nothing. I didn't want to believe it, didn't want to start a fight. But some nights, when she'd turn her back to me, I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, and wonder when exactly the love had died. It started with the phone. Madison used to leave it anywhere, kitchen counter, bathroom sink, wherever. Now it was glued to her hand, like it contained national secrets. The brightness was always turned down, the screen flipped face down. She smiled at it more than she smiled at me. When I asked who she was talking to, she said, "You don't need to know." Her tone made it sound like I'd accused her of a crime. I tried to laugh it off, but something felt wrong. Nights changed too. She used to stay up late, Netflix until midnight, curled against me. Then she started going to bed early, locking the door behind her. I'd walk in later and see the light from her phone under the blanket. She'd whisper and pretend to be playing a game. A game that apparently involved secret messages. Even her attitude changed, sharp edges where softness used to be. If I forgot to buy oat milk, she'd act like I'd burned the house down. When I offered to talk, she said I was making it all about me. It didn't matter what I did. I was suddenly wrong by default. Then came the spending. DoorDash charges stacked up like she was feeding an army. Amazon boxes showed up daily, things we didn't need. When I brought it up, she said, "Maybe if you acted like a partner." It made no sense. but arguing with her never led anywhere. Every word turned into a trap. Every question became an attack. I started shutting down, going quiet just to avoid another fight. But silence didn't help either. She called it emotional distance. I couldn't win, no matter what I tried. And still, she wanted me to fund her every whim. Dinner dates, spa visits, little gifts that meant nothing anymore. It felt like I was paying rent on her happiness, while mine expired. Then came the dog emoji. I noticed it one night when her phone lit up on the couch. Just a message preview, and a tiny dog face symbol at the top. No name, no picture, just that. She locked the phone so fast, it almost slipped from her hand. I asked casually, "Who's the dog emoji?" She froze for a second, then smiled too wide. "Oh, just a guy online who sends animal videos." I nodded, pretending to believe her, but my gut twisted. She didn't save people with emojis, never had. It was sloppy, and she knew it. From that moment, I watched everything. The timing of her smiles, the late-night notifications, the quick replies. Each one chipped away at my patience. I wasn't a jealous man, but I wasn't stupid either. She was lying, and the lie had a pattern. Every time I mentioned Ethan, she went quiet. Every time I said I'd be working late, she dressed nicer. I started connecting dots I didn't want to see. Her coldness wasn't random, it was rehearsed. Someone else was in the picture, hiding behind that emoji. I didn't want to spy, didn't want to sink that low. But when trust dies, curiosity fills the space it leaves. I told myself I just needed proof, one clear sign. Because deep down, I already knew the truth. I just didn't want to admit who it might be. One night, I told Madison I'd be working late. In reality, I parked a few blocks away from the apartment. The lights inside were on, calm, quiet, like any other evening. 20 minutes passed before a car rolled up to the curb. A beat-up Toyota Camry, dark blue, dented rear bumper familiar. I'd seen that car too many times before to mistake it. Madison walked out, looked around once, then got in. She leaned toward the driver. Her hand brushed his shoulder. Even from the distance, I knew exactly who it was. Ethan. My best friend. The guy who told me to trust my gut. The guy who introduced me to her in the first place. I didn't follow them, didn't need to. I already had my answer, clear as day. I took a picture, proof for myself, and drove home. When she came back 2 hours later with one grocery bag, she yawned like she'd just run a marathon. I asked, "How was the store?" "Boring," she said without meeting my eyes. The next morning, I had a plan. I told her my phone was glitching, and I needed to call work. She hesitated, but eventually handed me hers. While pretending to make a call, I opened her messages. I typed the word dog into the search bar. There it was, the emoji contact right at the top. The first message I saw said, "Miss you already." The next said, "He's so blind, LMAO." Then one from her, "He bought me dinner again, you were right." The sender's name glared at me, Ethan Miller. I didn't react, didn't even blink. I locked the phone, handed it back, and watched her smile. She had no idea the truth had already detonated. That night I barely slept. I thought about every moment I'd trusted him. Every time he'd sat across from me, listening to my worries. He knew. He knew I suspected something, and he still lied to my face. He didn't just betray me, he watched me crumble for sport. I wasn't going to explode, though. I wanted a clean break. No shouting, no begging, no second act. The next morning, she sat at the table drinking coffee. I sat down across from her, calm, steady. "I know," I said. She blinked, pretending confusion. "Know what?" The messages, the dog emoji, Ethan. Her smile faded, then returned like it was rehearsed. "Wow, you're checking my phone now. That's pathetic." "What's pathetic?" I said. "Is cheating with the guy who introduced us." For a second, her mask slipped. Then she shrugged. At least he understands me. You never did. I just looked at her and said, pack your stuff. You've got 2 days. Her face twisted, voice sharp. You're kicking me out. I have nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before you cheated, I said. And just like that, I stood up, grabbed my keys and left. The silence in that room was louder than any scream could have been. Madison didn't leave quietly. She packed her things like she was in a movie, slamming drawers, muttering curses. Every sound was meant to provoke me, but I stayed silent. She wanted a reaction, something she could twist into sympathy. I gave her nothing. 2 suitcases, a few boxes, that was all she left with. Before she walked out, she stopped by the door and stared at me. You're heartless, she said, her voice trembling with fake tears. No, I replied. I'm just finally done. The door slammed, and for the first time in months, the house was quiet. I changed the locks the same night. It wasn't anger, it was survival. But peace didn't last long. 2 days later, she texted me a long message. She said it was only fair that I move out and keep paying rent. Apparently, she and Ethan needed time to get settled. I read it twice, then laughed out loud. She truly believed I'd pay for her new life with him. When I didn't reply, she doubled down. You have a stable job, we don't, she wrote. It's just temporary, until we get on our feet. The entitlement was unreal. Then she added that she wanted the dogs too. My bond with them is stronger, she said. You can visit if Ethan agrees. That line almost made me lose my composure. Visit. Like I was some stranger needing permission from the man who betrayed me. I didn't argue. I just blocked her number and went on with my life. But Madison wasn't done. A week later, I received a legal notice in the mail. She was suing me for emotional manipulation and lost wages. Claimed I'd forced her to quit her job and made her dependent. My lawyer took one look and said, this won't last 5 minutes. He was right. The case got thrown out before the hearing even began. The judge called it baseless and performative. Madison must have thought that would scare me. Instead, it showed me how desperate she'd become. Next, she went after my company. She emailed HR saying my actions had ruined her career. Demanded $100,000 in compensation. They called me in, confused but calm. I showed them the screenshots, the texts, the timeline. By the time I finished, they were laughing. They forwarded everything to legal and flagged her for harassment. I thought that was the end, but she kept spiraling. She started messaging my relatives on Facebook. Told them I'd left her homeless, that she just needed a little help. Even used a stock photo of a crying woman as her profile picture. One of my uncles sent me the messages. I replied with proof and silence followed. Her story was crumbling, and she was still digging deeper. I realized then she wasn't trying to win. She was trying to make me miserable too. But I'd already chosen peace. You can't fight someone who's drowning in their own lies. Ethan tried to reach out first. He sent a short text, "Can we talk?" like nothing had happened. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say between us. He looked me in the eye while he was sneaking behind my back. You can't rebuild something that was built on betrayal. But he kept trying, leaving voicemails I never listened to. I wanted him to feel what silence felt like. Meanwhile, Madison kept spiraling. After the lawsuit failed, she switched to social media sympathy. She posted long paragraphs about escaping toxicity, used vague hashtags about healing and self-growth. People bought it at first, sent her small donations. But the story fell apart fast. Someone recognized her stock photo, and the post was flagged. Her Cash App stopped ringing. The sympathy ran out. She went from claiming abuse to begging for rent money. It was almost pitiful, but not quite. Because every message she sent still blamed me. Every lie painted her as the victim of her own choices. Then I got an email from my company's legal team. Madison had tried contacting HR again, saying I defamed her. They laughed, attached the screenshots, and blocked her address. The desperation was turning her into a parody of herself. Even Ethan couldn't keep up with her chaos. A mutual friend told me they'd moved into his sister's apartment. Within 2 weeks, they were fighting nonstop. Madison treated the place like it was hers, leaving mess everywhere. Ethan's sister finally kicked them both out. No jobs, no savings, no backup plan. They bounced from couch to couch, arguing in public like teenagers. He tried working delivery, but his car broke down. She blamed him for everything, the same way she'd blamed me. They were each other's punishment, and I didn't need to lift a finger. Still, I kept my guard up. I saved every document, every message, every fake accusation. I knew one day she'd try again, and I wanted to be ready. That day came when she emailed me a final time. The subject line said closure. The message was long, poetic in a manipulative way. She said she regretted how things ended. Said Ethan wasn't who she thought he was. Asked me to help her get back on her feet. Said it was the least I could do, after everything. I almost laughed reading it. She'd cheated, lied, sued me, and tried to ruin my name. And now she wanted help. So I helped in my own way. I attached a zip file named Closure Zip. Inside were screenshots of her texts, her fake claims, and job links. At the end of my reply, I wrote, "Here, everything you'll need for the victim role." Then I blocked her email and went on with my day. It wasn't revenge, not really. It was justice, wrapped in silence. And silence, I'd learned, hurts louder than any scream ever could. Time moved on without them. I didn't look for updates, but they always found me somehow. People talk, stories travel, and when chaos burns bright, everyone sees the smoke. Ethan was the first to crumble. He couldn't keep a job, couldn't hold a plan for more than a week. He tried driving for food delivery apps, but his car broke down. When that failed, he blamed the economy, not himself. His sister refused to take him back after what happened. Word spread fast about the cheating, the lies, the mess. Nobody wanted to hire the guy who betrayed his best friend. He posted online about second chances and finding purpose. The comments were brutal. Someone wrote, "You cheated with your bro's girlfriend. Sit down." It got hundreds of likes before he deleted the post. Madison wasn't doing any better. She bounced between apartments, staying with random acquaintances. One friend kicked her out after she refused to pay rent. Another after she maxed out their Wi-Fi streaming shows all day. She started posting sad selfies with captions like, "Healing is messy." No one cared anymore. The internet had already seen her act. Even the people who once believed her stopped replying. She tried reconnecting with Ethan, but that ended in disaster. They fought outside his mom's house, screaming for the whole street to hear. Someone filmed it and posted it online. Comments were ruthless. She cheated, he cheated, and now they're both broke. It went viral for a day, and then everyone forgot about them again. That's the thing about drama, it burns fast, then fades to smoke. Meanwhile, I kept my head down. I focused on work, on the dogs, on breathing without chaos. I got a raise, bought a better car, and took a trip up north. Just me and the dogs, hiking through quiet trails. No lies, no fake apologies, no noise. Peace has a sound, and it's silence. Sometimes I'd think about Ethan and Madison, not with anger, just disbelief. How two people could ruin everything for nothing. How easy it was for them to destroy, and how hard it was for me to rebuild. But rebuilding feels better when no one's watching. I never posted my side of the story. Never tried to prove who was right or wrong. They burned their own reputations without my help. Some people say revenge is satisfaction. For me, it was absence, the lack of them in my life. I didn't need to shout. I just had to keep living. Months passed, and the peace stayed. The house felt lighter, the air cleaner, the nights quieter. No more fake laughter, no more guessing games. Just calm, consistent, steady days. That's all I ever wanted. Ethan and Madison thought I'd break without them. But they were wrong. They were the weight I didn't know I was carrying. And once I dropped it, I finally started to breathe again. It's been months since everything ended. The quiet doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels earned. The dogs still greet me every morning like nothing ever broke. The house feels warmer now, even without anyone else in it. I stopped replaying the past and started planning the future. There's peace in knowing I survived the worst without losing myself. Ethan and Madison became ghosts long before they disappeared. Their chaos doesn't reach me anymore, and I don't chase answers. Some nights I sit on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the sunset. The silence that once hurt now feels like freedom. No lies buzzing through the walls, no fake smiles at dinner. Just air, open and honest like it always should have been. I don't forgive them, but I don't need to hate them either. They taught me what loyalty really means by breaking it. They showed me what peace costs, and I paid it in full. Now there's nothing left to prove, nothing left to fix. Just me, my dogs, and a life that finally feels right. Revenge didn't rebuild me. Silence did.